Welcome back and thank you for staying with eNCA. Now, hopes of finding survivors in the Türkiye-Syria earthquake are dwindling fast. But on a positive note, aid is steadily coming in from around the globe to help those affected by the disaster. The death toll is now nearing 16,000. We're joined now by eNCA's senior reporter Dasen Thathiah, who is in Adana in Turkey for us. Thank you very much, Dasen, for your time. I wonder what you've been able to witness so far with the search and rescue operations still underway.
Well, Maseko, since we last spoke, we've been on the move. In fact, I'm going to walk you alongside this traffic that we are seeing now. We are in Skederen, which is near where the port was on fire. You'll recall that that was what made headlines as a result of those earthquakes. There was a fire that broke out at the port in this coastal city, and that's a fire that was eventually put out but was reignited. We drove past it a little while ago, and you can still see the plumes of black smoke that is rising above the skyline. What you're seeing now is the traffic that is heading in the direction of Hatay. That's where we are going with the Gift of the Givers team, because we're making our way to the southern part of the country. That is where the disaster zone is. That is where the base has been set up by AFAD, which is the disaster management agency, which is responsible for preventing and dealing with disasters such as the earthquakes. This is a road or route that was closed, and now is the time when there are many of these vehicles that are making their way in the same direction for a number of reasons. Some of it is to provide aid. Others are relatives that are going to help, or people that are going to help their relatives. So people are traveling in this direction for a variety of reasons. We've also seen several ambulances that are going that way. Remember, this is a time when they need as many resources as possible, not just for the search and rescue element, but also to help those that may have been injured as a result of those earthquakes and those structural collapses that we saw there. And that is exactly what the Gift of the Givers team will be doing when we get there. The initial, the understanding was that the journey was just about 200 kilometers, but unfortunately, because of these delays, that journey has now increased in length. We should have been there already according to the maps, but it's possible that it could take as long as 5 hours before we eventually get to that point. And that's where there will be a meeting with the disaster management agencies, and that's when the team from South Africa will be deployed to assist. But they won't be alone. There are resources coming in from several other countries. I'm told that there are more than 5,000 teams that have offered assistance to Turkey during this time, in addition to their over 100,000 personnel from the various entities that are assisting to help rescue those that are trapped under the rubble as a result of those earthquakes.
And Dasen, in terms of those rescue operations, for instance, we know that the death toll has now been officially announced as 16,000. Are the search and rescue operators believing that this could still rise?
It could still, because as much as they have managed to cover many areas, one of the conversations that we had with Kasim Borat from the Gift of the Givers was around these numbers of people that are helping. So, for example, Gift of the Givers has come in with the first team. They're now also bringing in a second team as well, a team that's landed and will be making its way here. But despite all of that, if you look at the sheer extent of the earthquake and the damage that it's caused, it means that there's a lot of area to cover, and this is not something that can happen quickly. Remember, they have to deal with this in such a way so as not to cause further harm. For example, if anyone is trapped under that rubble, they also need to be very careful about how exactly they do that. So it's possible that there are still people that may have passed away that are trapped, but equally, the window period to rescue survivors is also starting to run out. Most of these rescues happen within the first few days, after that, unfortunately, because of the circumstances, the chances of survival start to shrink.
And from President Erdogan, Dasen, have we heard anything from his office? We know that the last time he said he is announcing a state of emergency. What else has the president said so far?
Well, remember, the president has come under criticism for the response to the earthquakes and the pace at which it was done. He's obviously defended his teams. In fact, just yesterday, we saw him at the Andana airport. That was where his convoy was leaving. He was there for a very brief period of time last night while we were waiting to catch our flight. Obviously, we couldn't get out into the vicinity of where he was, but we saw him entering the province and then moving out. I guess it speaks to a sense of being on the ground during this time, and this is where most of the damage is. In the south, we're told that his government officials, for example, the governors in the various districts and the various localized areas, are also on the ground, and they've been tasked with making sure that these rescue operations are going according to plan.